Hi everyone, welcome to BISP Solutions. Today we are going to take a look at various forms under the TRCS application of Oracle Cloud EPM. So let's begin. Tax reporting application provides a variety of out-of-the-box forms which enable us to quickly and easily perform various tasks under TRCS. It also helps to calculate or enter adjustments and approve the current and deferred taxes at various federal and local levels using the financial data, that is the book data, to meet the various standards requirement under the US GAAP and IFRS reporting as well. We can access the list of the forms which are available, the out of the box forms which are available under the application in both the tax provision national as well as the regional clusters available under the TRCS interface. And we can directly open whichever form that we require from the available list under both of the respective cards. The pathway for opening the or creating the additional forms as per the requirements of the user is that we need to go to the create and manage cluster under the TRCS application. From there, we will click on forms, then we'll go to actions and just click on the create simple form icon, which is available on the interface. From there, we can create any additional forms that we require for the purposes, various purposes. So these are various grid properties that are defined while creating of a form under TRCS. So we'll be able to understand it better through the user interface. So we'll just move to the application. We'll go to the navigation. Under create and manage, we have the forms tab, the forms card. We'll just open the forms card. From here, we have all the folders which are folders and the respective forms which are within the folders available in the application. So in case we want to create a new folder, we can just click on the plus icon available here and a new folder will get created whereby we can archive or save various forms that we create. So right now, I have my main folder by the name of library. So I'll just create a form under this particular library itself. I'll just go to create button. We can create the form from here, or we can just toggle to actions and create simple form. So I'll just click on the create simple form icon. From here, first we'll have to define the name of the form that we want to prepare. So in case I want to prepare a form whereby I can access the income statement totals for various years, so I can create a form for that and I can give the name which represents the form appropriately. So the income statement year wise. So I want my income statement for various years, income statement total. So I can provide the description. Then I have to select the cube for which cube I want to create this particular form. In my case, I am selecting console. Then there are some instructions which we can provide here. I'm skipping this part of instructions. Then we have the layout tab, which is the most important feature of the forms, whereby we can create the forms as per our requirement by creating the rows, columns, the selecting the point of views, as well as the page access. So in case I want to prepare an income statement form, I will have to create such an intersection and such a point of view whereby I can view the data for the income statement for various years correctly. But first of all, we'll look at some grid properties and the other properties that are also available here in the layout tab for the creation of the forms. So the first checkbox here is for rows. So the grid is nothing but the intersection of the rows and columns. And we have certain properties and certain options for both the rows as well as the columns in the form tab, in the layout tab. So for rows, we have suppress missing blocks. So this will, what this checkbox will do is that in case we click it, it will improve the performance of the form. So we can just read in the theory for this. It will improve the performance of the suppress missing data setting when suppressing many rows. So in case we want to suppress a lot of rows, then this, by clicking this icon, we can improve the performance of this particular feature. The next option or the next checkbox that we have is the suppress missing data. So in case any of my row has a missing data, that is no data is input in that particular intersection, this particular checkbox will suppress that particular row. So whenever we will view this particular form that we are creating, in case there is any missing data at a particular intersection, and if I check this icon, this checkbox, so in that case, the particular row whereby there is missing data present, the particular row will get suppressed. Then there is an suppress invalid data rows option whereby any invalid data is there, so that particular data will get suppressed. So invalid data will represent a data input at any invalid intersection. Then there is use database suppression as well. We have the default row height. So this is just a user requirement. So whatever row height the is required for the viewpoint, we can change it. So at the moment it is set to medium. Similarly, for columns, we have some options available: suppress missing data columns. So it is similar to the suppress missing data rows icon. Then there is suppress invalid data. Again, it is same, and there is default column width for it. Some other options available are suppress invalid scenario time periods. So the invalid scenario time periods would mean that the time periods do not uh, exist or they are invalid. So it will suppress those data. Global assumption form. So the global assumption form will, while transferring the data to the production environment for a simple form, we can select the global assumptions form, and then we can update the form to store the global assumptions such as a particular tax rate. Others are also similar to the above mentioned properties. So after looking at the grid properties, the next properties that we are going to see is the dimension properties. So the dimension properties will get selected or viewed only when we select a particular dimension. So right now, in case I click on view, then it will provide me all the properties for view. Or if I select period, then it will provide me all the options or properties for period. So this is basically the dimension properties. The first dimension property is that apply to all POV dimensions. So this particular POV will be applied to all this particular dimension will apply to the all POV dimensions. Then there is member name, so we can see the member name here. There is alias option, so if we check it, we will be able to see it alias wise. We will be able to see all the members or the dimensions alias wise. Then there is member formula. In case we want to see or view the member formula, we can just check it and we can view the member formula. Then there is height dimension consolidation operators as well. So we can check these boxes in case we want to as per our requirement. So let's move on to creating the form, the income statement multiple years form that we have started. We'll just try to create the same and look at the other smart view options as well and try to open the form in smart view as well and look at the validation rules and display properties as well. So first of all, we'll have to decide what do I want to set under the POV, what do I want to set under the page, and what do I want to set under the rows and columns. So In case I want to view the income statement, so I can select the account and put it either under the rows or under the columns. So I'll try to do it with columns, and then we'll see how is the view of the form presented to us. So we have selected, we can just drag the particular dimension and put it uh, at the columns box. So the account is now moved from POV to columns. Then what I want is that I want my entity to be present under the rows. So I'll just drag my entities and put it under rows. Then page, what does page implies for? Page implies for that we can select multiple, we can define multiple members here on the page, and then just like a slicer under Excel, we will have an option to select or to toggle between different members. For example, in case I drag and drop my years, or we can say the period dimensions to page axis tab. So what it will do, and then what we can do is select various years while defining the page. So in case I select all the years, then what I can do is that while working on the form, I will be able to toggle or view the data for various years. I can just select or filter out the years that I want to see, and I will be able to see the data for that particular year or period respectively. So uh, page will help me in that way. However, for point of view, I will not be able to select multiple point of views in case I am not dragging the particular dimension to page. So in case I want to view my data for various point of views, then I will have to drag the dimension to the page axis. Otherwise, I can skip out this page axis and define all my dimensions under this POV tab, and then it will be fixed. Like we won't be able to change any of the dimension and view it under different members. So, like I said, I want to see my data for various periods, for various years. So I can select both the period and years dimension to page axis. Then remaining dimensions, I want them to be defined in a point of view, so I can define them here. I'll just select scenario as actual because I have data under actual scenario. Then I can select the entity currency. For data source, I can select data input, whereby I'll be able to input the data as well and view whatever data has already been input. Jurisdiction, I want to select US. Then I'll have multi-gap as local gap. View will be periodic. Consolidation will be entity input. Movement will be trial, balance, close, or any other movement on which we have the data. Intercompany is no intercompany. Now this is interesting. And the page, when we go to edit, what we can do is that we can select year total and click on add, and just click on year total again. And from the function selector, what we can do is that we can select all the descendants, that is all the child members of year total we can select, and click on OK. Again, from years, we can edit, and now here we can directly select add all because there's no other member here from which we'll have to bifurcate the other years. So we can just add all the years and click on OK. Now I have set my POVs. I have selected the page axis, which I want to toggle between my data between. Now is the turn of rows. So I'll just click on rows, edit. And from here, I can select all the entities for which I want to view my data. So I want to view or input my data for all the North American entities. So I'll just select North America, click on add. Again, I want to see the data of all the children of North America. So I'll just select the function selector and click on descendants including. Just click on OK. Now for columns, I have selected accounts. So I'll just click on accounts, click on edit and select the income statement accounts which I have. So in case I want to view my income statement data, I can just select the income statement, click on add. And now when I click on the function selector, instead of selecting all the descendants, because all the descendants would be a lot of accounts, so I just want to view the main balances or the immediate child. So I'll just select on the children of income statement, inclusive of children, I'll select and just click on OK. So now I have selected all the rows, columns, page access, and POV for my form. What I can do is now that we can just save the form so that we can have a preview of that and see how the form looks. So here I have my data form for income statements, whereby I have the pre-tax book income for all the North American entities, and I have the net income after tax for all the North American entities, and the ultimate parent is the income statement data. So the income statement data will be the sum of the pre-tax book income and the net income after tax. Okay. And what we can see here is that this data corresponds to the year financial 20. So in case I want to view for any different year, because we selected the years and period as page access, we can just click on FY21 and click on OK, so that we'll be able to view the data for a different year, that is FY21. This is my net income after tax for the financial year FY21. Similarly, I can toggle between the various periods as well. But we can see that whatever dimensions that we set for POV, like multi-gap, intercompany, jurisdiction movement, etc., and all the other scenario view, currency consolidation. So for them, we cannot edit or change the members, or we can select any different member for these dimensions because we have set them under POV. So this is how a simple form looks like. Now we'll take a look at some other properties for this form as well. So we'll just click on close. We've seen the dimension and grid properties. Now we will directly go to the validation rules for forms. So the validation rules are helpful for validating the data under the data form. So by using the validation rules, what we can do is that we can create any message, any validation message, any validation symbol or an icon or an update for that validation that we want. Like in case there is some negative data in my trial balance or there is a loss, so that loss is presented by a different color for the numerical values or any other validation message that needs to be prompted whenever I hit a particular cell under the forms. So for that, what we need to do is we need to define the validation rules. So we try to create a new validation rules. For that, we have to go to the validation rules. The rules for location is grid, and we'll just click on this plus icon that we have here. So I can provide any name. So I'll just give the name is greater than 10,000. So I'll provide the condition for the current cell value. We have various source options as well for source type. So it could be cell value, column value, row value, and various other options as well. But I'm going to select the current cell value. So if the current cell value is greater than, so if my current cell value is greater than the target value, so the target value that I have in my mind is 10,000. So if my current cell value is greater than 10,000, then I want to process it. So I'll just select, I'll just select another row. So another row is created by the add condition option. I'll not select any and condition. I just want to give one condition right now. So if my source value is greater than the target value, which is 10,000, then what result I want when the cell is processed to provide any output. So I can click on the process cell icon, which is available on the right hand side. I just click on that. So here I can create any validation message which I want to be prompted whenever this form is opened by any user, or any cell background color which I want, any specific background color which I want. The default is uh, white, but in case I want, for this particular rule, I can select any other color as well. Like I can select this blue color. Then I can give any validation message that I want, and various approvals also can be created from here for this particular validation rule, but I'm selecting none for now. So we'll see whether the validation background color for the particular cells that are greater than 10,000 is getting shown under the data form or not. So we'll just click on OK. So there is the validation rule that we have, and we'll try to see the validation rule. So you can see that only the negative figures for US branch are not getting colored because they are less than 10,000 figures, and rest all of the figures which were greater than 10,000 have been, the background have been changed from the white color that was the default color. So any kind of validation rule can be, multiple validation rules can be created for different cell. We can specify them through various cell, individual cells, columns, rows, etc. So this is another feature of the forms that we can use while creating the data forms. There are some printing options as well. So we can format the data, we can show the comments and apply various precisions for the printing options. So we'll now straight away move to the smart view options. So this is very useful because this enables us to change the properties when we view the form in the smart view. We can manipulate and use the form as per our requirements. So again, I'll open the same form, or we can open another form. We'll open the same form itself in the smart view, uh, and then we can see how we can input and view the data in smart view as well. And there are some interesting features under the smart view options. There is the enable flex form. So the flex stands for flexible. So what this option or feature will do is that if I select it for a particular row or column. So this is only for rows and columns. So in case I select it for rows, that is my entity. So what it will do is that it will allow me to add additional entities under the rows that are already present. So I'll be able to input different entities as well, other than the zero level descendants of the North American entity. And if I select it for the columns, which is the account dimension for me, I will be able to add other accounts as well, other than the income statement account. So we'll try to do this for the rows and see if we can add different entities as well. So we'll click on rows, enable flex form for rows. Once we click this one, we'll just toggle back to the rows. We'll have to check another option here for the dimension properties, which is flex beyond form definition. So once we do these two, once we tick on these two checkboxes, then we can open and see whether a flex form is getting created in the smart view or not. So for that, we'll go to Excel. We'll open a new Excel. We'll go to smart view. So we already have a panel in this Excel with the instance on which we are working, but we'll try to refresh it again because we have created a new form. So here we have our income statement form under the library folder. So we'll expand the library folder and we can see that this is our income statement year-wise form. So right now we have only open form option available with us. This is not the flex form. So in order to enable the flex form, the first step was to click on the flex form, and now after clicking it, we'll have to save it again because that will save the feature of the flex form that we have selected for the particular row. And now again, we'll just refresh the same and see whether we can see the flex form for this particular income statement form. Again, we'll go to library and go to the income statement year-wise form. And now you can see that we have two options available with us. So one of them is the open form, which will not allow us to add other entities as well. But we have the flex form option, whereby we'll be able to add various other entities as well, other than the North American entities. So I'll just select the open form. I'll click on the open form and I'll try to just write the name of the other members of the entity dimension and submit the data. And then we'll see that we have the view of the other entities as well. So another geographical region is the South America, which is a member in my application. So I'll just go back to my application. I'll close the forms tab and go to the dimensions. Under total geography, we have the South American entities and we have the North American entities as well. So under South America, we have various other entities as well. So I will just type South America, which I have done, and then I'll click on submit, or I'll just click on refresh. So what it does is that it creates the intersection for this particular region as well. So if I want to view the members of South America, I can just select the entities. FID 135 is the child of this particular region. I'll write FID 135. Again, I'll refresh. And I'll be able to see the data for this particular entity as well. So right now, there is no data present in this particular entity, which is FID 135. That is the reason there is no data available in the form as well for this particular year. So I'll just check whether some data is available in FY20 or not for this particular entity. Okay, so it is not available, but we can see that we are able to create the intersection for different entities as well after selecting the options of flexible form. So we have seen another feature of the forms. Now, how can we view the form under the app within the application? So we'll just go to the navigation icon. We'll go to forms under tax provision national. Just as we saw in the PPT, we can access it to tax provision national cluster or tax provision national cluster. So I can access it either way. I'll open the form. There are some forms which are opened from earlier. So this is the interface for the all the forms, all the folders which have the various forms. This is the library that we selected while creating the form. So my form, which is the income statement form, is under this particular folder of library. So I'll just go down and open the income statement year-wise form from here. So you can see that we can either view and edit the form from Smart View, or we can view and edit the form from the application as well. So this is the interface for the forms within the application. Another interesting feature that is supported by the forms is that we can edit the forms from here as well. So once we have created the form from the create and manage cluster from the navigator icon, in case we want to edit the forms later on, we can just go to this form designer icon. And you can see that this is the same interface that we had under the create and manage cluster. So we can go to layout, we can change the entities, we can change the accounts, and we can change the POVs from here as well, and just click on save so that the data gets saved and the forms view is changed entirely from here. Now we'll go to other options and see some other options that are available within the forms. So here there is the precision, so the currency values, minimum, maximum, these are all the precision options. So in case we want to set this currency member precision setting, we can click on yes. Otherwise, it is disabled. This is an interesting feature, which is the menus which are available. So these are the action menus which can be accessed from the data form by just clicking the right click of the mouse, and we will be able to access the different action menus from there itself. So for this, we will first have to create the action menus. So there are various action menus which are already created here. So in case I want to see the status of the particular job, I can just select the status and click and I'll be able to see this particular action menu from the data form. So we can create the data form as well. So we'll try to create one data form uh, as quick as possible. So we'll go to create and manage. We'll go to action menus. So there are some unsaved changes. I'll click on OK. I don't want to save them as well. So this is the action menu interface. I'll click on actions, create a new menu. So I can give the name, say form. I'll try to link one form with another form. So after creating this particular menu, I'll just go on edit. From edit, we will be adding the child to this particular form. So access form will be a menu item. I'll add the child to the form. Under icon, I can provide some icon types. So there are various types of action menus which can be created. We can provide a URL which can be accessed directly from the menu. We can provide a data form. We can provide business rules, approvals, dashboards, menu headers, change status, previous form, copy version. So I'll click on form. The required parameters are none. Now this is mandatory. I'll have to select the form which I want to link. So I'll open the library again. So there is a form where I have the full income statement, which is the income statement by source form. So I'll click the radio button for this. I'll click on OK and save. So my menu item is now saved. Now what I will do is that I'll go back to the home page. From here, I will again go back to the forms and we have already opened the edit income statement tab for this particular form. So we'll go to the other options. Now here we will be having the form, which is the action menu which we have created. It was not available earlier, but now since we have created it, it's available. So I'll just select it and save it. I'll save the form. Once it's saved, now we can again close this edit and go back to the form. And now when I'll click on right button of the mouse, I will have the access form action menu available with me from where I can directly access the income statement by source form, which I've linked with this particular action menu. Since I click on this access form, you can see that the income statement by source form is now open, whereby I can see the full income statement available here. So this is the use of action menus. It is very useful in case we quickly want to access a particular form, a dashboard, or any similar thing, or any URL link which is required to be linked with a particular form. So that's it with the managing forms session. We will connect later on with some other topics. Thanks and have a great day ahead.